Here's our story of relearning almost everything and finally beginning to live.
The skies were blue and the grass was green, and we were almost through our first year at Mount Freedom. We were ready to get more permanent building on the property done. But then, the most unthinkable series of events began to happen.
This is the story of the fire in the Holler, okay? It all started, our neighbor had a 38-year-old son who is schizophrenic.
We've mentioned it before.
Really weird to the max. So we'd be going to town, and he drives this little maroon compact car, Toyota or something, and there'd be little pull-offs in the national forest, and we'd go by on the way to town, and he'd be sitting there. He's seriously like smoking marijuana. And I'm telling you, we'd be like in town all day and come back and he's still sitting there, you know, or maybe sometimes be in a different place. And just always just really weird and creepy. Like he would just not even look at you when you went by, like he was stoned out of his mind or something. And he probably was.
So I avoided him. I'd never talked to him, never gone within probably 300 feet of him. So I didn't even know what he looked like. The kids had never seen or talked to him. And, cause it was just weird. It was strange. He didn't live here when we first got here. He had come about 6 months later. And because his dad just felt bad for him to be in a care facility away, and so he wanted to bring him home again.
So we know we know at this time that this guy 3 or 4 years prior to this had been locked up for arson. He burned down 7 buildings in a short period of time.
And the one that he got caught on was he lit the post office on fire. And so that was a felony, and so he was definitely...
He burned down him and his father's own house. And...
the one right here.
Oh, they're built
allegedly
on property that we own now. This was before we lived here. And he burned down, there was an big old, like, you know, 3 or 4,000 square foot rock house that's kind of famous in the area. It was supposedly built hundreds of years ago by the Dutch, and he burned it down, and he did some other damage to stuff in the national forest, like markers and stuff, monuments. And so we know all this. We know about this.
He was generally known in the neighborhood as kind of a peeping Tom as well.
And animal torturer.
Yeah.
So
he had been picked up before here, torturing or doing something to a dog.
Just really weird. And so we have our neighbor digging a trench on our property in our creek.
Different neighbor.
Much different neighbor, helping divert the water. And this same time period, his wife had come over here to see us for some reason. We weren't home. And this guy, the bald-headed, schizophrenic, psychopathic arsonist, is like in our driveway. And she just said it was really weird and creepy because he like wouldn't get out of the way.
He popped out of nowhere.
He came out of nowhere. He like came out of the woods, the bushes, and wouldn't get out of her way and like let her back out of the driveway. And she told us about it, and she just says really weird and creepy, and he's just looking at her, you know, really weird, you know, like. And so a little time goes by.
Some other things. So he was getting a little fascinated with our children. and giving them gifts. We would find little trinkets on our farm stand that would be left there, and the children were drawn to that. And
Yeah, and we didn't let them have them.
and then there was also we found out that he was calling our daughter Coyote Girl because the kids like to mimic coyotes, in the night when they're howling, and see if they can get them to howl. And so then there was a gift given that was a picture of a coyote, framed picture, and it was just
Kind of a girly looking coyote painting.
And just to call her Coyote Girl was also strange because
Well,
you wouldn't know that unless you were creepy.
We put two and two together and figured out this guy had been stalking us. He'd been coming over here, hiding in the woods, watching our children. He said stuff like we didn't hear, but his dad told us stuff he had said about my wife, about our children, that he would have had to been over here to hear us talking to know that even existed. Because at this point,
What'd he call me? He called me
soldier wife.
Soldier Wife, which I never even met him. He would never have known my voice. He would never have known my personality. And I don't know if you're the soldier or I'm the soldier. Probably I'm the soldier, right?
Probably. You're
Because I can get bossy.
Yeah, whatever. But just kind of crazy stuff, and it was, real icky feeling. So not much time goes by. We find out that the neighbor truck gets burned up sitting in his driveway. Well, all of us in the neighborhood know it's the son. We know they made up the father trying to cover because he doesn't want his son to go to prison. Literally, I'm telling you, by noon the next day after it happened that night, he's already got the truck hauled off. And honestly, this is a man that, from what I've seen, rarely takes quick action, okay? And there's just a big burn spot in their yard where it was sitting. Well, I called 911 and I told them, I'm like, listen, I don't care what this guy's saying. I know this guy burned this truck up, and they never did nothing about it.
They were just trying to encourage the police to come out here and at least check it out. Like, something's going on. It's weird.
So at the time, our county jail is not accepting anything but violent offenders of the crime. And I'm like, how is arson not violent? I mean, people could have got killed, but because their jail was being remodeled and they only had room for, like, I guess what they considered really bad guys, They
were transferring them to another county, so they would only take the worst because they had to move them to another county in order to.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of upset about this because, my wife and kids are like starting to get scared, because of this guy's past, because they literally live about probably, 400 or 500 yards from us, okay? So like somewhere around a quarter mile, as the crow flies.
Occasionally we could hear some not so great conversation as we were working.
We could hear the father and son yelling at each other,
worse.
And the tone of their voices would definitely be considered violent and aggressive. And so my wife and my kids are especially my wife, because she's smarter than the kids, is kind of getting freaked out. So that first fire where he burned the car up was Thursday before Father's Day. Yeah, and so 2 or 3 days later, it's the morning of Father's Day. We get woke up sleeping at 4:15 in the morning by the neighbor. Call 911. Joey set the car on fire, just trying to burn down the house. Well, the kid had driven his car up right next to, they kind of live in a shack, basically.
It's a cabin. It's one of those cabins.
It's a cabin, one of those pre-made cabins.
Yeah.
It's a shack, it's poor quality. And lights the car on fire and is trying to catch the house on fire, and he has since
inside.
Fled into the woods. He's actually literally trying to kill his father on Father's Day. I mean, just totally psycho. So we had was our 5-gallon blue jugs of drinking water.
Like, we don't have water. That guy doesn't have water because we're off grid, but where our water situation isn't good.
Yeah.
So you just have a few jugs of water.
I got 2 or 3 of these 5-gallon jugs. I use our drinking water to at least get the blaze down enough to where it's not going to catch the cabin on fire. And you know, well, first thing I did was call 911 before I went over there, and that they took close to an hour to get here. If it would have been out of control, you know,
the whole forest would have caught on fire.
You know, I appreciate the volunteers and everything, but it was a waste of time. They were so late. So we get it down to where it's not going to burn up the house, and
well, and it was very scary for me because, like, Lance was just taking action and he just kind of left. And I'm like, I don't know if that was the arsonist, who's where. I don't know who's where. I don't know. Are they trying to draw him out and, like, so that we're vulnerable over here? And so I'm a little bit freaked out by that. I don't know if what I should do. Just feel really unsafe in this situation. And so Lance actually came back because we could hear it popping, right? And I'm like, oh gosh, he shouldn't actually go close to that because it could explode.
you know, the gas tank could explode.
And so fortunately you had the same thought. And
Yeah, I basically, no, I didn't even, I love myself. I gave the dude the water and I let him go do it. I'm not gonna die, you know, having his car blow up. You know, I'm a little smarter than that. So if there had been lives at risk, that'd be different. But there were no lives actually at risk unless you got too close to the car and it blew up. And I wasn't going to put myself in that place. So he actually dumped the water. I just gave him all the water and I came back to tend to my family. And,
we decided just to everybody get up and we'll just go over there.
Also 911 to Woodstock, company number 5 backup, request to assemble and standby in quarters for the structure fire. Mount Tremper request on a mutual aid to assemble and standby with your tank.
About that time, the fire department had come. And so we just kind of sat back and stayed together and watched and made sure that they had information or whatever they needed, or if they needed more help.
so at this point, the kid, the 38-year-old kid, is at large. He flees.
There was 2 other fires that he had set, not just the car, but there were 2 cabins up in the woods.
Yeah.
He had set both of those on fire and they burned to the ground.
Yeah, and they had stuff that was, you know, very,
It was
very
important.
and special to his father. Some stuff he had made, a lot of memorabilia. So at this point, you know, the father's finally realized that the world is not safe with his son in it, you know, and he kind of gets on board with getting the son locked up. So, you know.
And was it that evening? By the end of that evening, we were told that they had found him.
Yes.
And had taken him away, which is true.
That is what we were told.
That's what we were told, and they had found him and taken him away. And so that's all the father knew. That's all we were told. And so we were like, good, okay, this is good. We can calm down. We can go about our business. We were actually doing the Pray Eureka event that week, and that was the
we were
first day
involved
that
in we were doing a 2-hour set every day for 7 days in a row at a prayer and worship thing.
Yep.
So
we went and did that.
We were there at the prayer and worship thing till a little after midnight because we had done like a 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock or a 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock set and hung out talking to people and stuff for a while after we got done. Well, we come home, we pull up here, and there's a big old coon in the yard. And so I run in the tent to get the gun.
We, the kids and I just stay in the car because we don't want to scare the coon.
And
I'm certainly not, it was back by my potty, and I need to go to the potty. And I'm certainly not going to go back there with a coon.
So by the time I get out in the yard with the gun, the coon's gone. At this point, I have a gun. and I have flashlight, okay? I'm like, well, hey, I got the light. I'm gonna go down in the creek and see how much work the neighbor got done with the excavator, rerouting the creek. So I go down there. It's dark. This is, 1 o'clock in the morning. I got my gun and my flashlight. There, right over here, about 35 yards from where I am right now, is the neighbor's excavator. So I come down here. It's early spring, none of this vegetation is here. And excavator's right over here, and it's parked with, he left, like the bucket, the arm was going across to the other side of the trench he had dug. I get about right here, and I'm shining the light over here about 30 feet from me, about 10 yards, is the psychopathic, schizophrenic arsonist neighbor literally asleep in this trench right underneath the arm of the excavator. So I'm sitting here, like, my wife and kids are in the car, freaked out already. At this point, they don't know he's down here. They would have been totally beside themselves. So, and he's asleep, and there's an excavator.
He's in a big hole.
I got a gun. I'm an aggressive person. I'm a problem solver. And I'm like, God, are you trying to tell me something here? Do you just want me to shoot this guy and bury him and make the world a better place? And I sit here, and man, I always know what to do. And I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I'm not gonna shoot a guy that's sleeping, And I'm like, I don't know, he seems to be pretty asleep. So I walk back to the car. And, when I tell my wife, and of course, everybody's freaked out by this time. I mean, this is like, there are factors and feelings and variables here that you can't explain. Like, you feel like this crazy person has been stalking you,
And now he's...
So not to mention, this literally is about 45, 50 yards from where we sleep at night, okay? In a tent. Not a locked up, secure house, a tent. So...
And he comes back and tells me, and it's like, does he do this every night? Like, and wasn't he supposed to be taken away by the police? He's not even supposed to be out here, and like,
so,
was he gonna set our place on fire? What's going on?
So I go back and, I told my wife, I was like, I don't know what to do. So we decide to drive back down the road where we get better cell service and call 911. Because the police are always great help, right?
Let's do this the right way.
Yes,
we gotta take action. Nobody's ever really taken action, and we're gonna get the law involved. We're gonna catch this guy.
At this point, everybody in the county knows who this guy is. I mean, he's at large. So
we call the police.
And it seriously takes them an hour to get here.
We're just waiting out
in
on
the
road, hoping he's still there.
So they show up, and it's a male and female police officers, are literally the only two officers on duty in the whole county, all night. And it's that way all the time, apparently, at least at this point in time. And I'm talking to him, and I'm like, obviously they're familiar with the guy, but we tell them what's going on, where he's at. And I'm like, well, can I shoot him? And they don't really tell me no. They're just like, don't shoot him in the back. And I'm like, well, I don't, I'm a worshiper of a God. I'm pretty sure God doesn't want me to kill him,
Not happening.
And so I'm like, well, can you guys rough him up? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, well, can I help? You know?
They're like,
And
sure, that'd be great.
and
Who are
yeah.
these
And at
people?
this,
Where do we live?
so this kind of turned into me just kind of jokingly see what I could get them to permiss. Because I mean, thanks to God, usually I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm gonna do the thing that keeps me innocent.
That's why I love you.
And so we walk down there. He's
What we decide is that we're going to go the route of getting the courts involved
Right.
with the custody issue, because of his medical condition, his dad has custody of him still, even though he's a 38-year-old man.
yeah, he's not competent
But
on his own.
But the custody issue was not okay. The father was not competent and not willing anymore to have his son, and so we needed to get the health department or
The state to take custody.
to take custody again or switch custody. So we're gonna go that route. So they're gonna pick him up for basically, trespassing, but because there's no jail.
So we go get him. He didn't even try to run off. He didn't.
He was still there.
He came, peacefully. And so we walk out to the squad car, and they put him in. He's cuffed. They put him in there. And so basically, they can't take him home because at this point, he's like, no, I can't go home. My dad said he's going to shoot me in the face if I show up. The father at this point is scared. He's scared of his own son. He realizes that his son tried to kill him. He realizes that his son is not fit for the public.
We were like shocked that he wasn't already with them, because we had been told that he had already been got and was gone and we were safe. And so the police took him away, and we immediately went to our neighbor's house where the dad was.
Oh, yeah.
And told him what had just happened. And
Yeah, so we take the father
and
to
he
make
was
a phone
like-
call.
He had no idea. He had no idea that the first time, because they had come and picked him up, he had no idea that they had released him. He thought that they had taken him back and it was fine. So he hadn't really lied. He hadn't lied to us. But they hadn't told him that the situation.
Yeah, we kind of thought he had lied, but he was
hadn't.
just himself misinformed.
Yeah.
So we take him to call 911.
Because he's
And-
terrified. He said he does not want them to let him go. He's like, he's a danger. It's not okay. We need to get to the police. Maybe we can get to them before they let him go.
And I felt better as far as him because we're right there in our vehicle, and I'm listening to this man tell the police, no, this guy needs to be arrested. He needs to be locked up. And he's like, he's gonna get killed out here. The neighbors are gonna kill him.
Which
Like-
most of the neighbors,
like-
that is what exactly
Like this
what they
guy
wanna
is
do.
telling the police this, because around here, yeah, this whole Holler has a reputation, and it's we don't put up with, malfunction.
Shoot, shovel, and shut up.
Yeah, it's a triple S. So, and he doesn't. He wants his son to get taken away, but he doesn't want his son to get shot and killed. So, and ultimately, the police aren't doing anything about it. They took him to basically the state line and dumped him off, which
Which is kind of like right over there on the other side of our mountain.
as the crow flies, a few miles, just a few
Yeah.
miles. And
Because they can't take him to jail because he didn't do a violent crime, and
that's
they
why.
they don't have their own jail, so they're not gonna.
Which,
hold
I
him
mean,
there.
how pathetic is that? But this is our reality at this point.
So it's a catch and release situation. They just picked him up and just took him to some other state. Let it be their problem.
Yeah, so now this guy's totally at large,
But by the time that they had picked him up, it was. So we got home at 1. It was now like 5 or 6 in the morning. So we hadn't gotten any sleep. I was not going to stay here. The kids were not going to stay here. So we went into town, and thankfully we had a couple of free nights at a hotel because we didn't have cash for a hotel. And we checked into a hotel, and it was miserable because we were so tired, and they didn't have 2 beds yet ready.
Well, that
for the
and
day,
like
so-
you're crazy tired, but you can't really sleep because
No,
all this
all
stuff
the
running through
adrenaline
your
and-
mind, you know. And
we needed to be in town anyway for the worship stuff.
we were still doing the
so-
prayer and worship thing. And the next day, we go and we file restraining orders. Each one of us that live here put a restraining order against this guy. So it was awesome, the police working with us.
They had on their own, once the paperwork was filed for the custody issue, they had 3 days in order to find him before the law would not allow them to catch him again. But with the restraining orders, we had, infinite amount of time to be able to call the police and say, here he is, he broke this restraining order, come and get him. So we started hearing rumors, so several days going by now, we start hearing, oh, somebody saw him over there. And so at this point, he was in Arkansas, where the police don't have authority. They can't pick him up over there.
So a neighbor was setting up a barbecue that we thought this guy would probably hear about and come to. And the police told us that it doesn't have to be at your property. If he's around you anywhere, even if you set it up, we can come arrest him.
So there was a couple instances where they tried to lure him, and it just wasn't working.
Yeah,
And
at the
so
same time,
the police, the 3 days had run out. So now we were just on restraining order time.
so we all know that he's not smart enough to just flee the country, We know he's going to stay around here.
He needs care.
He's young, he's
He also
mental,
needs
he's
cigarettes.
probably scared. The nights are cold. So, and we're doing man hunts, we're walking the creeks, we're walking the woods. Like she said, everybody's like, oh, I saw somebody in the creek in such and such spot. Well, we'd hightail it over there.
And so would the other neighbors. And
spend an
figure
hour,
out.
looking for some evidence of this guy and never finding him. So finally, after about a week or so, I get a phone call from the dad. He's like, I know where he's at. I know where he's at. So
He's like, I got my, we're getting a posse together.
so he's got this SUV, and it's me and him and like 3 other guys. One, a couple of them are, ex-military guys. Everybody's got at least one gun. So I go the back door, and they go the front, and I'm just like, I actually have a legitimate excuse to just totally, to devastate somebody. And
We had also called the police at that time because they wanted to catch him, but they couldn't go there because that was Arkansas. So the police all came here to the property and were waiting. There were a couple detectives and police. And so there's maybe about 4 or 5 people that were just waiting for, hopefully, he would come back and they could just get him.
so I'm sitting here at the back door, like probably close to 5 minutes, and I don't really hear anything. Nothing's coming out the door. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna walk around the front, and we get him to come out on the front porch. He's basically cooperating. He's kind of, he's mental, so he's kind of scared and stuff. And so it was kind of weird, and because he wanted to sit by me in the vehicle, and I think that was just like a God thing, because I
think it's because you didn't shoot him.
I think because I didn't shoot him the night I could have. I don't know what it was.
And
but,
because he knew you. He'd been stalking you. Like, he'd been watching you. He knew you were a good guy.
Well, he almost got to know me real well. But, so yeah, and we just basically drive back here. The police are already waiting. There's 2 or 3 squad cars. And, they haul him off.
And all of a sudden, the Holler was safe
Oh.
again, and we knew our neighbor.
Like I said, there's so many feelings, thoughts, emotions, the whole situational, here you got this thing poured out on you that you don't want nothing to do with, and all of a sudden, you're in the middle of it. You're in the middle of like some weird, talk show moment, you know, crazy people, and you didn't sign up for this, you know. You didn't do anything to earn this. You're just thrown into it. And it was so emotional and threatening, and you felt so violated. I felt violated, man. How dare this guy violate my family? You know, my flesh just wanted to beat him to death. It's really hard to explain because we are servants of God. We are worshipers of God. But I'm more than willing to do whatever God wants me to do. I didn't feel God leading me to pray for this guy or cast a demon out of him or anything like that.
We did offer that if he wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna, you know, be there to try to help somebody. But I did not feel God telling me to do that. You know, I stay sensitive to that. And my point in saying that is that was kind of hard. It was kind of hard to just sit back and let this be taken care of by the law, you know.
And all this time, the thing that week it was just awesome because we were worshiping God so much with other people. They also they gave us a free hotel room just because we needed it. And so we got to stay 3 or 4 nights in that hotel over there while all this was going on and just worship God and just be with him and be with people that loved him. And so that was just a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, and that definitely helped.
It was like this war was going on, but we were living in such peace at the same time. And that's who we are.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a spiritual battle
going
on.
Yeah, our property, or like where we sleep, our whole nest is so peaceful, you know.
Which is probably why he wanted to sleep here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I kind of wish he was there enough, you know, to tell us, you know. But yeah, so major glad that is over with, you know. Because, I mean, dude, when you know some creeper, weirdo, freak dude has been watching your children from the woods, yeah. And as an aggressive male specimen, I wanted to hurt this guy, you know. And that's the story of the fire in the Holler.
Yeah, but now we have a new fire. It's called the Flame.
Right. It extinguishes all other fires.
Right. The bigger fire. Anyway, we live at peace now, and it feels really great.
Yeah. Yep. So during this whole time period, all this weird stuff's going on with the neighbor peeping at us and stuff. So I was telling the dad, oh, we got this little, you know, yellow cat. So the cat is all torn up. Just, you couldn't even tell if it was a boy or girl. Just mutilated basically. And we saved its life. So I'm telling the neighbor, and he's like, yeah, we had a little yellow cat. And we come home one day, and it's up outside the porch, and this bobcat has it in its mouth and runs off with it. And I'm like, really? You know, I kind of, you know, bobcats do hate house cats, but the story's not really adding up. So I'm talking further into the neighbor about this story of the bobcat. He's like, yeah, I think it was probably a mama bobcat and gonna, you know, take this kitten under its wing and suckle it and raise it, you know. He's even like, yeah, I thought, you know, I could tell its teeth were sagging, you know. And I'm like, dude, you're on drugs, bro. So it was very interesting, but through it all, we pretty much came to the conclusion that the arsonist psycho mutilated it. It had endured human weirdness, torture, supposedly being forced to suckle on a wild bobcat titty, which is quite comical. It's just pretty good. So we named it Danger, and it stuck
Instead
pretty
of
good.
Rock. Yeah, the
And
kids had
it's
named
good
it
cat.
Rock, but it was like way more likely in
Yeah.
danger.
With all that fiasco over with, we set out to enjoy the blue sky again and took extra care to give the kids more comfort and fun.
This is the new play area. We got all this stuff at Menards. We got a beanbag toss, and we got two gigantic frisbees. They're 18 inches. And we got disc golf, and that's Nava. And this thing's huge. See? It's gigantic. I'll show you. That's a normal size frisbee. This is in Eden. The beanbag. It's very fun. Disc golf. See you later. Hey, Sasquatch. For my birthday, I want another Sasquatch and a pony and fur and lots and lots of hugs.
One of the best things a child can have is a happy and safe childhood, and it was a joy to see our peaceful life return through the kids. Mount Freedom Man could now begin to work on a real bathroom for us.
All right, so here we're gonna build the community cleansing center, AKA bath and shower house, bathroom. So it'd be 10 by 16, of 16 between me and that tree. Right here where I started digging, where one of the corner posts is gonna be down there with all those roots. And it'll go out this way 10 feet, and it's gonna face right towards, let's see, that tree right there, that big one right there. So we'll be facing at the top of Mount Freedom, right over there. Eventually the big building will be in front of me, where we hang out a lot and worship God with music a lot. So let me step back here, get some better footage. Yeah. So there's that tree for reference. There's that tree. So we'll see. There's that burn pile. Okay.
Then we found another strange thing in the dry creek bed.
Board on his head. He's trying to drink it. Put it in his mouth. The common snapping guy. As he thirsts for his water. He's happy. He's smiling.
He's like, I wanna
Searching
bite that white guy.
for water. He may go for days.
The problem is he couldn't get a date. He's very ugly.
I'm pretty sure they all look like that,
You
but
could bite me?
don't.
Pretend that's my finger. You want to bite of my finger? It's connected to me. Come on. You want a finger bite or not, man? I don't think he wants any.
Try it again. The common snapping turtle.
His tail's pretty normal. Sure it's not an alligator spot. Look at him. He's like
I feel like I goosed him, but I didn't. Oh, he's coming. He's like, you want some of this? What is that? Oh, I want to do this with you. Ew.
Dad, he's gonna bite you.
He's not gonna bite me.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. Please watch, comment, like, subscribe, pass it on. Pass it to everybody you know. We need the help, we need the views, and we thank you so much for supporting us.